We're good to go. I believe this is episode number 5 today, you guys, with Dana. So welcome. We're excited to have all of you here today. We're going to have a good topic, why you should eat low carb, or why should you eat low carb, maybe it's better to say.
Yeah, why eat low carb? I mean, it's not like carb is good, right? Typically, that is.
I'm on vacation right now, and it can be difficult to eat low carb. I shouldn't say difficult. You just have to plan ahead a little bit. So, all right, we're good to go, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Say hello in the chat. Of course, you guys can use that Q&A feature to ask us questions. We will get to as many of those as we can. And if you head to bartonwebinar.com, those of you who are seeing this on Facebook, you can register for this webinar. You will, actually, Joe, maybe you can tell us what's on it because I haven't even seen it yet. I got a message saying it was ready.
Yes. So if you go to bartonwebinar.com and scroll down a little bit, so we do 2 webinars each week. The first one, well, actually, the one on Thursday is the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar with Dr. Saunders. And that is the one that we've been doing for 90 some episodes now. And now if you scroll down on that page, middle of the page, looking for more help to eat low carb, and there's a lovely picture of Dana, who's our our special guest each week, and she is helps us learn how to eat low carb better, and all sorts of tips and nutritional tips and tricks and health coaching and all that good stuff. So we're good friends with Dana, and we like to support what she's doing. And if you want to join us live, you just click on that yellow register for the Low Carb with Dana webinar, and then you can sign up and join us on Zoom and ask questions and get your own questions answered. So we don't charge anything for this. This is a free offering to the Barton Publishing and Barton Nutrition customers. And so we're doing this because we want to help people more, part of one of our core values. And so Dana, always good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And it's a beautiful Tuesday morning in the middle of June here. And what are you up to today? What's going on in your world?
Gosh, like you said, I am just going to enjoy this beautiful day. It's crazy. I've got a dog waiting outside for me to go for a walk when we're done. Nothing's better than to help your blood sugar stabilize than go for a nice walk. So I am going to do that. And I've got a trip to the dentist planned and a few coaching clients.
All right.
Otherwise, yeah, not too bad. How about you, Leslie? What are you going to do on this gorgeous day?
You know what? I actually was just thinking about this the other day. I rewatched one of our webinars that we did called Nature Deficit Disorder. And so I was just thinking about how important it is, even as you were talking, to go out and walk the dog, to get outside and just do something. If you missed that episode, you can go back to Barton Webinar. There's a link to see all of those. But I am actually on a vacation, a family vacation. We're in a very secluded area with a lake. And so we have boats up here, and I fully intend to just be outside today, get some exercise in the water, and who knows? You never know what's going to happen on vacations.
Yeah. Joe, do you get to do anything fun today?
Oh, I always usually find a way to do something fun. So yeah, taking Gus for a walk outside, or play a little horse course, golf in the backyard. And I have a hockey game tonight. So it's sort of a pick-up rec game. So it's kind of fun, but gets me ready for our Thursday night playoff game. So that's the important one of the week. But,
very good.
Oh boy. Is hockey year round for you, Joe?
It pretty much is. There's like 2 seasons. There's a winter and a summer, and yeah, there's like a couple months break on each side of that. But for the most part, yeah, we're playing hockey a lot. So I love it. I'm not very good, but it's good exercise. I get my heart rate up to like 172 beats per minute, which is my max. Like if you do the calculation of your age,
yeah.
20 times minus, I don't know, minus your age or something like that. It should be like your max heart rate, and like, yeah, I get that pretty fast. So
nice.
It doesn't look like I'm working that hard though. That's the thing. Like I'm still slower than most of the guys skating circles around me. But maybe we could start just each of us talking about why do we eat low carb? Like what's in it for us? And I can start. So Well, I'm currently on a low carb plan myself, just sort of a health challenge that I'm doing. And I'm doing it because I knew that I was overweight a good 15 pounds, if not a little bit more, and just kind of feeling sluggish. And I've been pre-diabetic, I think. I don't know if I clinically for sure, but whenever I test my blood sugars, I'm in that low 100 range
Hmm.
fasting. For whatever reason, it gets better during the day. Like at night, I'll be in the 80s or 90s or whatever. So practice what we preach, I guess, trying to keep our blood sugars low and knowing the benefits of that. And I mean, it's a lot of reasons for me. I feel better. I know that I'm less likely to have health challenges in the future, and I think that's a big part of it. So just wanting to be the best me. So it's not easy
Awesome.
sometimes. I mean,
Right.
I love chocolate chip cookies. That's my weakness. Um, but when you think about, let's see, I could eat this cookie and die 10 years earlier. I mean, sometimes that's like, but usually when you use the rational thinking, like, yeah, that's probably not, I mean, you can't really say that. Nobody knows when they're going to die, but
Right.
it's just the risks that you're taking and the quality of life. So, yeah.
Right.
Leslie, what about you?
Oh
Leslie's
man,
camping
I
right
would
now,
say it's,
in a camper, like literally. Yeah. So this
I
is
mean,
great.
actually really good. It's an old motorhome, and it is
Ah,
amazing because it's late 90s themed. Anyway, um, I would just say that I, like so many of you, have been on a health journey. And when I was in college, I was diagnosed, I'll do the quick version, diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which kind of led me down this trail of actually what happened. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and then many years later got married, got pregnant, started thinking about what I was actually putting in my body because I was pregnant. I almost was like, for me, it was okay that I was putting things in my body when it was affecting just me. But once I was pregnant, everything kind of changed. And so I started really researching things, changing what we ate, learning, from people like Dr. Saunders. He's been my doctor for a really long time. Finding people like Dana to actually give you some other information outside of the medical fields about nutrition. And so, one thing that I would say, I don't always eat low carb. I mean, I feel the best when I do, and I've I know gluten doesn't work well for me. I've learned different things through this journey. So just kind of like when you get to phase 2, when you're doing our diabetes solution kit, you start to learn, oh, these foods I cannot tolerate. These things are okay, all of that kind of thing. But um, especially I think uh, for energy purposes, the older I get, low carb is the best for me. There's the long version.
all right, Dana, let's hear it.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with both of you. I do feel my best when I'm eating low carb, but getting to this point, it's been a good 8-year process. It's still not a perfect process, but I'm better than I was 8 years ago. And that's always the goal. So many people get stuck. Well, I'm low carb, but oh crap, I went off and now I'm not. So then everything goes out the window. I would really encourage you to just focus on how can you be better than your last meal or better than yesterday, and give yourself a little bit of grace in this process, because we are faced with a food industry that is not paying attention to our health, specifically our blood sugar levels. So anyway, grace in the process. But I started in 2013. Just actually, I was on a rabbit hole on Pinterest, and I was looking for a dessert, like the 10-pound Reese's peanut butter cake thing that I was going to bring to a party. And I came across this gal. Her name is Diane Sanfilippo. She has a lot of low carb, paleo, sugar detox books out there. She's great. And I thought, oh, what is this low carb paleo? And I had never eaten low sugar in my life. I had tried diet, low calorie dieting, or just trying to watch what I eat in the past. But I was always hungry. And who wants to be hungry when you're eating? So as I got into just learning more about low carbohydrate, I thought, oh, this is really interesting. And as I started doing it, I felt really just so much better, more energy. I was sleeping better, and I didn't have these crazy sugar cravings like I had in the past, because I come from a long history of loving sugar. I was addicted to sugar. It is a substance that can hijack our brain more so than even drugs or alcohol. So as I learned different ways and cooking methods to get off of sugar or just eat less, I wanted to share it with people. And that's when I started my health coaching journey. I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and did their health coaching program. And I started that in 2014. And ever since then, it's really my mission to help people get off of sugar in a way that is comfortable and you're not white knuckling it. And since 2013, it's awesome. There are so many companies out there now that are providing low carb options. So, Joe, if you want that chocolate chip cookie, there's better than options. Like we could make a low carb cookie. Yes, it's not our typical what your mom or grandma or what Amanda used to make, but it's lower carb and we can still enjoy it without impacting our blood sugar levels. Mm-hmm. And that's the goal with low carbohydrate for me, is to keep our blood sugar levels steady. When we can get off of that roller coaster, the blood sugar roller coaster, that's when we feel better, we sleep better, we're going to live longer and healthier. We don't want to live long and be ill. We want to live long and be healthy. So that is why I have been eating low carb, because low carb is going to keep our blood sugar levels the most steady. Because out of any of the three foods that we eat, whether it's a carb, protein, or a fat, carbohydrates will raise that blood sugar the most. So when we lower that down, then we have happy blood sugar and less insulin being produced to keep that blood sugar low.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. One thing I was going to mention too was that I am on vacation and I actually made the almonds, unsweetened coconut, and then those, what is it? The less sugar type of chocolate chips.
Did you do Lily's or just like a darker chocolate one?
Something baked.
Oh, Let's Bake Believe?
Yes. So I got the dark chocolate and the white chocolate for those. So I actually have 2 bags of those for snacks, and the kids like them too. And I'm like,
good.
This is great. So
perfect. Yes.
See, eating fun things is still possible. Kind of gets that Mounds candy bar flavor.
Mm-hmm. And Leslie, one thing that you mentioned, which I think is amazing, and I wish I would have done that with my pregnancies, but I didn't know in 2001, 2002, and 2005, I was just a nurse. I was following the guidelines, what I was told to do: eat less fat, eat more grains, did not pay attention to sugar. And really, when we are pregnant, we are imprinting our babies. We're imprinting their taste buds, their genetic code. So it is so important, even prior to conception. If we have any young listeners out there, or if you have children that are going to have children, encourage them to reduce the amount of sugar they're eating, because it's going to impact future generations. So I lived off of way too much sugar when I was pregnant. So it makes me kind of sad to think.
It's so addicting. I even watch my kids, if sugar is in the house, it is like binge eat all of it as fast as you can. Or we had a small town parade on Saturday where they all got candy. And we're like, it's hard to take that from them once they get it. And they will binge eat all of it as fast as they can. And that's where you can kind of see the power of the addiction to sugar. And it is scary.
Right. So if you're eating low carb for adults, that candy isn't in our environment and that trigger isn't there. But for our kiddos, or even, I mean, if you put candy in front of me, we do not have a turnoff mechanism for carbohydrates. So for example, protein, if you have, you know, a 24-ounce steak in front of you, you are going to only be able to eat so much of that protein, or protein and fat combined. We have a turnoff mechanism because we require, there's essential amino acids and essential fatty acids. So essential protein, essential fat. There is not one essential carbohydrate that is required for our body. So we have no turnoff mechanism. We can eat to right up here and we'll keep going until we're like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Or think about water. You know, it's like, oh, I'm thirsty. We drink some water and then our brain is like, okay, stop, that's enough. We have a turnoff mechanism. But with sugar or carbohydrate foods, we can just keep going, especially the combination of carb and fat. There's like no turnoff for that. So.
It's amazing. It's crazy. And I have done that before where I've eaten too many carbs and you feel miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about you said,
I'm gonna,
oh, Leslie, you mentioned that your kids just go crazy eating sugar. And I was just thinking about, you know, the marketing behind sugar. If you're going through a Walmart and you're at the checkout lane, like you're surrounded by sugar, like the candy bars and gum and all that kind of stuff. But it's like bright colors. It looks fun. It's attractive. It's like, eat me, buy me. And you go through the cereal aisle, all the colorful boxes. And it's like, I think they program that in your brain when you're young or something.
Yep.
And yeah, it's got to be something like that. And
absolutely. In
yeah.
fact, that was a question I wanted to ask my group of people today is, are you okay with the amount of sugar that your kids are eating, or are you concerned? And I'm going to be putting that out on my Instagram and Facebook today, because I'm just curious where people are at, because I struggle with the amount of sugar that even my kids eat when they go to someone's house, or they won't come to my house because we don't have any good snacks. Well, I'm just trying to help control the amount of sugar that's eaten, because if I don't have it here, they'll still go find it somewhere. So anyway, it's definitely a challenge.
My friend messaged me. I am sorry, I'm really laggy. My internet's a little bit slow, guys. So anyway, but my friend messaged me. Her kids are just now starting to get into sports at a young age. And she's like, why do we have to bring all of these unhealthy snacks after every single game? Here's your goldfish and your Gatorade. You know what I mean? She's like, when did this get decided? I'm like, I know you're going to fight this for years. So think of a good plan for this, because we struggle with it too.
Yep. Yeah, we really need to start to change the narrative, because elevated blood sugar, because of all of this high carb eating that we are all doing, it is the underpinning for almost all chronic diseases that we experience. Whether you have heart disease, meaning, you know, is your heart enlarged, high blood pressure, are your vessels clogged? Do you have memory problems, Alzheimer's, even Parkinson's? What about tingly hands and feet, infertility, diabetes, obesity? You know, we kind of silo each of these medical conditions. But if we brought them all together and looked at the root cause of each of them, it is insulin resistance, or too much insulin is in our body. And so I really feel like if we would start asking our physicians or nurse practitioners, physician assistants, say, could I please have my insulin level checked? Yes, we know my glucose is normal today, or just a little bit above normal. But what is your insulin doing? That hormone that is released from your pancreas to keep your blood sugar in check? That is often rising 10 years before we even know that we have prediabetes. So let's start to change the narrative with that also. Let's get our fasting insulin checked. And if you want to learn more about your fasting insulin in a very user-friendly way to educate yourself, I really would encourage everybody to grab this book. It's called Why We Get Sick by Dr. Ben Bickman. He is a professor of metabolism out of Brigham Young University. And he just basically underpins insulin to every chronic disease. I didn't mention migraines too. It's just amazing that the insulin levels that they've studied people with migraines, and when they lower their carbohydrate intake, how migraines are, resolved or significantly reduced. So it's an amazing book.
I do get those every once in a while.
Yeah, and he's on Instagram too, Ben Bickman, Bikman, and he'll put out little video snippets of just everything regarding insulin. And since he's a professor, he does a great job of educating. He brings it down to the level that I can understand it, which is great. And yeah, I think we could solve a lot of our nation's health problems and our medical debt if we would keep our insulin low, which leads to why we want to keep our carbohydrates low, because they are bumping our insulin and blood sugar the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something that I've experienced just I'm on day 67 now on this low carb deal, but like there are a lot of good foods that you can replace now. Like there's been a lot of progress, I would say, like even chips. Like chips were something that was hard for me to find, but I found I may have bought 3 boxes of chips here that, I have. So
I'm coming to your house. I'm coming over. I love those.
Oh yeah, these are amazing. So it's like a snack size bag, but it's got 19 grams of protein, 4 grams of net carbs, and 4.5 grams of fat. So, but they taste amazing. They're satisfying. You can eat them with guacamole and salsa, which that was kind of I missed being able to eat chips and salsa and guac. So
yep. And sometimes they're so set. I mean, there is a little bit of a different texture because they have protein in them. Mm-hmm. So we just have to get out of the mindset that they're going to taste like the corn tortilla that you're used to. Keep in mind that corn tortilla is going to raise your blood sugar, and it's coated in corn and vegetable or soybean or canola oil. These chips do not have that. So just get ready for a little different taste, but the crunch is there. Or even let's say you're making a taco salad in a bowl. So your beef or chicken or shredded beef, whatever, with your salsa guac, just crunch a few of those on there. And you almost can sometimes do just a third to a half of a bag and save the rest for later, because they're a little bit expensive, but you can get away with less, I feel like sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah. There's another flavor, the loaded taco. So these have more of a bean flavor to them. And I mean, beans. So let's talk about beans, like black beans, brown beans, because they're high in fiber, but they're also kind of high in carbs too. So what do you think about beans?
So beans, they are touted as a health food and a good protein source. But if you flip that can over and look, or your bag, in 1/2 cup of beans, there's generally 20 to 24 grams of carbs, 0 sugar, but 24 grams of carbs. Once you swallow those beans, they become sugar. Right here, your body's like, oh, let me help you deal with the glucose that you just brought in. It has to be broken down, and it gets put into our muscles. It comes up to our brain. But if we've had too many other carbs throughout the day, even those black beans, there's not going to be enough storage in our liver for more carbohydrate that they just are trying to be stored as. So guess where there's unlimited storage space for carbohydrates? Your belly, your tush, your thighs, under your arms. So it's the excess carbohydrate consumption, whether it's from Reese's peanut butter cup or black beans. I mean, granted, there is more fiber in beans than a peanut butter cup, but still just be aware, especially if you're in phase 1 of the program, that you are not going to want to include those. But as time goes on and your metabolism changes, the goal is ultimately to be metabolically flexible. Like you want to be able to burn carbohydrates or burn fat. And so maybe sometime down the road, as you've healed your body, you can do maybe a quarter cup of black beans, because beans aren't inherently bad. It's just our current diet that we're eating, too much processed food, too many unhealthy vegetable oils. And then we add in these carbs, which used to be okay, but now our body just doesn't know what to do with all of this excess energy, whether it's from carbohydrates or even sometimes from fat, mainly the seed oils. Our body is just confused. Inflammation comes on, and that's where the fat storage comes up. So,
And I do feel that, well, continue, you go ahead.
well, I was just going to say with fat storage, why we want to keep our carbohydrates low to help with obesity as well. Because every time when we put sugar in our body, again, whether it's black beans, Reese's peanut butter cups, or chewy candies, whatever, our body does not want that sugar up here. So we're constantly burning sugar. And we wait an hour and whoop, that blood sugar came down and now I'm starving again. So now our blood sugar is up and our body has, insulin comes out to get it down, and we can never be in a fat burning mode because our blood sugar and insulin are always high. So that is why when you go lower carb, that weight loss becomes a little bit easier.
So if you're watching us live right now on Zoom or Facebook, ask your questions in the chat or in the Q&A section. We're going to get to that here in a minute. And we've got one question that came in from Deborah. Deborah, good morning from Eden Prairie, Minnesota. I have a sister that lives in Eden Prairie, so that's awesome. Home of the Minnesota Vikings, actually former home. They moved over to Egan not too long ago. Not that I'm that big of a Vikings fan. I mean, a little bit, but I'm actually a pretty psycho fan. So, but let's see. What was I going to say? Totally forgot now. Oh, well.
What was her question?
Okay, so the question was, when you start on phase 2 and add a new food, test 1 hour after that. So what is the blood glucose level range that we should see to say that this food would work for me? So phase 2 is in our diabetes solution kit. Phase 1 is when you're on 20 grams of carbs a day until your blood sugars get normalized for a good 2 or 3 weeks. And then you add back, you can add more carbs, like up to 40 to 50 grams a day. And then you kind of monitor that. So I think she's asking, like, what's your blood sugar level? What should be an hour after you eat to know that that food is being handled properly?
I'm not sure what Dr. Saunders, what his ranges are. I will tell you the American Diabetes Association says it doesn't want you going above 140. But what is optimal? American Diabetes is giving you normal, but normal is based on a very unhealthy population. Optimal blood sugar levels, I would like to see you not go above 120. And again, we would have to check with Dr. Saunders to confirm that. But
say that too. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So 120 is ideally where I would like people to not go above. And I will be honest, I had too many sweet potatoes the other night, and I'm wearing a continuous glucose monitor right now. I could feel like I just started to get tired, lethargic. I checked my blood sugar. I went up to 130, and I was so frustrated because it was kind of mindless. We had just gotten home from the weekend, and I was mindlessly eating these sweet potatoes, kind of cleaning up my kids' plates. And I have no idea how many I ate. Usually I try to be real mindful and measure my portion. But anyway, those sweet potatoes took me up to 130. So I would encourage you to stay less than 120.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel that difference at all? Like, yeah.
It was like I wanted to go take a nap. And I didn't even have sugar. It was a combination of sweet and some russet potatoes. And I was just frustrated. I'm like, I had chicken, broccoli, and sweet potatoes. That's all I had. And it bumped me up there. And I can have sweet potatoes usually without a problem, but just apparently not that many. And I also had not lifted weights that day, which improves your body's ability to handle carbohydrates, because we were traveling all day. So it was a lot of sitting. So that was probably another reason why. So yes.
Yeah. And what have you seen for like the ideal fasting blood glucose numbers? Like I know it varies with people, and some people can be in the 70s and 80s. Like I'm usually in the 90s or low 100s or whatever, depending on the time of day. But
right. So again, normal as defined by what the lab, what your hospital, your doctor is going to tell you will be anything under 100. So if you're 99, you're good to go and you get a pat on the back. But 99, that is not optimal. I had always thought, oh, low 90s, but now they're even saying like 85-ish, 85 to maybe 90 is a good fasting. And now with the caveat being, I would love for people to check their fasting blood sugar just as your eyeballs are opening up. Because as you get up and you're moving around and you're going to the doctor and you're kind of nervous, that's going to increase your blood sugar. So it's not really a true reading. So sometimes, when I wake up if I get up before my alarm, I'll quickly, scan my phone on my arm, and my blood sugar is 70 something. But even just to get up, get coffee, by the time I get back to my bathroom to get ready, I'm upwards of 83, 85, depending. So a true test, I feel like, is right when you roll out of bed, sneak over to your bathroom counter and check that blood sugar.
you could just have Matt wake up at 3 a.m. and test it for you while you're sleeping.
Yeah, right. Well, it's kind of cool because I watch my numbers, and I dip a little bit low at night. It's pretty interesting to keep track of.
Yeah, well, that's fun. I like that idea of having that constant monitor. Is that like, do you need a prescription for that? And how do you get one of those?
So I have a provider that called one in for me. And you need a diagnosis, but honestly, a diagnosis of fatigue, 88% of us have metabolic syndrome. So, I mean, you choose any of the things that make up metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, triglycerides, waist circumference, choose any of those, and those diagnoses have been covered. So I got mine through Costco. It was like $80 a month with my insurance. That's for 2 sensors. So they last 14 days. And I don't wear them continuously. I just put one on now because I helped with a golf tournament for diabetes a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I better put my blood sugar monitor on. So, but there are startup companies out there that you can order them without they have physicians that will get you one. But unfortunately, they require you to utilize their dietitian. So they're still pretty expensive. I think more and more companies are going to be coming out with these options. So less than $300 a month will be coming. So I would check with your doctor, but NutriSense is an option. And then Levels, they are in their beta test right now. And that's actually who Dr. Ben Bickman is working with, is this Levels company. So, NutriSense or Levels, you could look at them to see if your physician won't prescribe one. But honestly, I think it will be the biohack of the future. Even if you don't have diabetes, we all want to know what our blood sugar levels are doing, because that's how we prevent chronic disease.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe I wonder if we'll see in our lifetime where we can measure insulin quickly like that too, because that one's harder to get.
Yes. I think they're working on that, but it's tricky.
Yeah.
That would be ideal.
That you can kind of see, like if you have belly fat, like you pretty much know that you have insulin resistance, right? And so that's kind of the key.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if any ladies are watching and your husbands are nice and normal weight, but he just has a belly, that belly is actually more dangerous than some weight on the thighs or the tush. The fat in the belly, when it goes around the organs, it's called visceral fat. And when it starts to wrap around our liver, that is very dangerous. So that will be a sign to start a low carb diet. When you just have the belly fat, that is the dangerous fat, because 99% guaranteed you have insulin resistance with that.
Yeah, I gotta admit that was something that I've been a little, I wouldn't say depressed. I don't get depressed, but it's like, dang it, like I've lost, I don't know, 15 pounds, and I've kind of gotten into the normal range on the BMI chart or whatever.
Yep.
But like I still look in the mirror like, I still have, I can still squeeze a good chunk there. It's
Yeah.
like, man, what do I need to do to get rid of that? I still have a 3-pack out, abs, because
Yep.
I had a couple scars. Long story, but I don't think
Okay.
I'll ever see a 6-pack. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
That it really takes a lot of dialing down, and it's energy on both ends, from carbs and fat. And as long as your metabolic markers are coming down, if we can pinch a little, but our markers are coming down, that's, as we get a little older, some of that vanity, we kind of have to throw that out the window, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to beat myself up over it.
Good.
So,
Okay, good.
But it
We
is
have
interesting.
quite a
Go
few
ahead,
people
Leslie.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, we have quite a few people on Facebook. I just wanted to say hi. Lots of new people watching today, so we're so glad you guys are on here. Again, go to bartonwebinar.com if you want to sign up for this free webinar that Dana is doing. We are very much type 2 focused, so you'll find a lot of information on that site, links to our YouTube, past episodes. Just make sure you subscribe. Excuse me. I also just felt really led to just say, all of you who are watching today, today's a good day to take the first step. It can feel like it's all your fault, but it's not. As we talked about in the marketing of foods and watching my kids battle even their sugar, it's almost like the whole world came against us. And now we got to relearn how to do this. So it's not your fault. You can start today. Make sure you stay dialed in with us, because we want to walk through that journey with you. We know how hard it is, because we're all with you on this. So I just would really encourage you guys to just start making a change today. Okay. And we will help you with that. So come back next week, watch this. We also have a Thursday webinar that we do with Dr. Saunders, but you can ask your questions here for free, which still blows my mind that we were able to do that. I'm surprised we haven't been shut down for giving away things for free that help people, but that's how it goes. Anyway, so thankful for Dana and for Joe. This is their life's work and their mission. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, I just get to be part of it. I just get to start the webinar and listen to him talk, and it's been really good. So thank you guys so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Leslie. That's amazing. And you are the star of the show. Don't sell yourself short,
Yeah. Yes.
Come on, you keep us
The one in the background
together here and on task and
Yes.
everything organized. So that's great. Yeah, Dana, can you share, like, how can people learn more about what you do, and if somebody wants to work directly with you, what does that look like, and where should they go?
Sure. I have a 10-week health coaching program, and you can find me at danacushinghealth.com and go under my services, and that's where the program details are. I'm on Facebook, Dana Cushing Health, or the same thing on Instagram. And what I really do is just work with you and set up goals that are your goals. They're not my goals. It's individualized nutrition to make it work for your lifestyle. Because when I'm done working with you in 10 weeks, I don't want you to think, oh, thank gosh, I made it through 10 weeks. We're just going to build the foundation, and then you're going to continue on. So it's habit change that will just make your life healthier and easier, and not have to use willpower to be like, oh my gosh, I can't have that chocolate cake. It becomes more of a habit to say, I'm actually not going to choose that chocolate cake today. I'm going to choose something else. Or I would like to give you the power to, every once in a while, have a piece of chocolate cake when your metabolic health gets to that point. Because my goal is to help you with a lifestyle change. It's not a diet.
Awesome. And you're on Instagram as well?
Yep. Dana Cushing Health.
Awesome. All right.
Dana.Cushing.health, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're planning on, at least for the summer, we're going to go to an every other week schedule here, Tuesdays. And so our next live webinar with Dana will be July 6th, I think.
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah. A couple days after the 4th of July. And so, but we do have recordings in our YouTube channel. You can just search Barton Webinars on YouTube and find the previous ones that we've done. Lots of great information, good encouragement, lots of good questions answered. And so also, if you're watching this and you want to register and get notified to join us live, just go to bartonwebinar.com and you can scroll down to that section and see where we've got that registration link. So, all right. Well, this has been fantastic. I think it's been, it's really important to address your why, because my wife mentions that to me and she's like, well, why are you doing this, Joe? When I talk about how I'm just going to not do this anymore. And she's like, what's your why? Like, okay. Yeah. So coming up with that why, writing it down. I've got mine written down, just a few different things. And so, but everyone is a little bit different, and you got to just go back to that and keep that, top of mind and realize. And a lot of times it's that the principle of making those short-term choices that have long-term effects. And that's in life, whether it's food or really anything like relationships or just habits and all sorts of stuff. It impacts everything. So if you make those good choices in the short term, it has long-term benefits. So yeah. All right. Any last thoughts from either of you before we wrap up? Good. This has been fantastic. Well, let's go enjoy this summer day. Our dogs need to be walked. It's a beautiful sunny day. Leslie needs to get out and go fishing or something like that, or hiking. And well, you're probably not running sprints yet with that recovering from the torn ACL, but getting close, huh? Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. And thank you, Dana. And thank you, Leslie. And this was great. So we appreciate you. And we'll see everybody next time. All right. Bye.
Thank you.